guys, this week we are back on our twin turbo Continental and we're going to be building a full custom dash and a nifty little center console for this thing. But before we jump into the interior, we got a few things to finish up in the engine compartment as well as start on that 3-inch stainless steel exhaust. So let's get to it. All right, it's time to do some sheet metal panels in our engine compartment. We are going to keep this real simple. I want to be able to see all this goodie. We're just going to be making a panel that's going to attach onto our front fender here, come down and angle towards our frame rail or right past our exhaust. So nothing too crazy, a couple bead rolls in it, and that'll close up our wheel section from our hot exhaust and just make it look a little more finished. All right, we got our finished panel clecoed in, so we got both sides in now. I do have to do a little something up front here. Not really sure exactly what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna kind of curve it here to follow the 4-inch intake side of the turbo, or if I'm just gonna kind of bring it straight and end it somewhere in this area. But both sides are in. Got our little bead roll. I think it looks pretty clean. Now Andrew's gonna put the car in the air. Put your hands up in the air. All right, we got those panels in, and Andrew really wanted to get the car on the lift so he could work on the fuel lines. So I'm gonna switch gears a little. I know I said in the previous episode I was gonna be jumping into the interior, but we are gonna work on the exhaust a little bit, kind of find out our route and get some stuff started. I don't know that we're gonna finish it because, you know, we have a truck on this lift and we only got one lift here, and the EV truck's on that lift. So this lift kind of needs to stay free here and there. So while it's up here, I'm gonna start kind of routing and thinking about our exhaust. Tim already got our downpipes set, so we're kind of one step ahead. We're gonna be running our exhaust in between our frame rails right here, trying to keep it as tight as possible. This transmission cross member that we built is kind of gonna be in the way. So if you see here, I kind of dashed a couple lines. I'm gonna go ahead and take this thing down and modify it. I'm gonna cut some 1/4 inch or 3/16 steel and build a little truss and keep it tighter to the floor so we have a section to run through here and keep our exhaust just above our frame rails. This car does sit really low, so I don't want the exhaust to hang below the frame rails and, you know, run a risk of it hitting something. So we're just gonna come straight through here and kind of figure out where we're gonna dump our exhaust, possibly through our bumper, maybe through the side here, maybe just dump it down. I don't really know. We're gonna figure that out. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this cross member, get it modified, get it back up here, and then we'll start making our transition from our downpipe into this horizontal section over here. We got our transmission cross member modified. Now we have a nice space through here that we'll be able to run our 3-inch stainless exhaust. So I do have to pull this thing back down and final weld this side over here. But then we got Arton here, and Arton is gonna finish welding those titanium pie cuts. So when the man's here, I gotta step aside and let him do his thing.
Okay.
All right, we got both of our down pipes connected to our horizontal pieces. This one's a lot shorter. It's in a different position than this side, but they are level, so it's a good starting point. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and make up an X pipe, which is gonna go right here, right past our transmission cross member. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut this pipe back. We'll get a 45 swooping through right into our X pipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and take two 45s with legs on them, get these things cut and welded together, and make an X pipe. All right, we got our driver's side moving along. I went ahead and cut it back a little bit. We got our 45 taped up here. We have our X pipe in position where it needs to be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this measurement and get that piece cut, get that in, and then we're gonna go ahead and work on our passenger side over here. All right, we got our X pipe all welded up, at least on this, on the inlet side. The outlet side is still just kind of half-assed welded up. I may cut these off, I'm not sure. But we got this done. We're gonna go ahead and slide that puppy back up in there, and then we can start moving on.
Mike's done all the work he can for now on the exhaust. So next up, we are gonna finish off these beauty panels that Mikey started. I got a template made. It's gonna sit in just like that. All right, we finished up these transitions on our beauty panel. So now we can jump from the engine bay to the interior and start working on this dash. And we're gonna start with our steering column. So Mikey got it mocked up here, and you can see he has a support bar for the mounting piece to go on too, the bracket, but it's all just vice gripped in. So we gotta get this stuff final welded in there so that way we can get these vice grips out of the way and start designing our dash. So a couple points could get welded here, over there. We want to have good support because of the torque that's going to go on the steering wheel. All right, we got our first section all tacked in. This is where our Holley screen is going to go. Here's our vents. They have a backing, so I can't slip them in, but they're going to go here and here for the driver, steering column, and starter. So we're going to work on sheeting in this place next. We're going to get 2 more vents going here and here, and then we'll probably make a plate similar to this, one piece with a bend in the center. Our center console is going over this section, so that'll kind of render everything that was here previously useless. So we're just going to sheet over it. We decide later we want a little box, we could always cut in and make a little box for that. So I got some paper, some tape, and some scissors, and our vents for reference. I'm going to try and line them up as best possible so they're all in a straight line here. We're going to make a template, transfer it to plasma, cut it out, zap it in. Alright, now that our dash is in here and mounted, we're going to start making our center console. And I have a little cardboard already cut out. I got the stereo mocked up in there. We're gonna put our climate control buttons right here. And then I got a spot for cup holders. We're gonna use a push button shifter, and armrest is gonna go back here. I'm just gonna die back under here. There'll be carpet coming up behind it, and then there'll be a transition down to the floor right past the seat. And then back here, we're not gonna build a console because the rear bench, I think, has a center section that we're gonna keep. That way, if you want to put an extra person back there, you can. So we'll figure out a way to cap this off once we get our seating back in there, see how it's gonna go. So I'm gonna go ahead, secure this template together, then I can bring it out to the bench, measure it out, and then start cutting all this stuff out on the side. Okay, we got our first two pieces cut out, all bent up, and mocked up the stereo to see how it's gonna look. Everything so far is looking pretty nice. I did one tack here just to hold these two pieces tight together. I'm going to actually make kind of an angled piece between these two as the transition, and probably put the HVAC control buttons in there. That way they're sort of angled up, give it a little bit more shape to this piece without getting too curvy, because as the dash is, it's pretty angular, so we're going to keep that angular theme going throughout the car. Of course, this will all rewrap with foam, so there'll be some more softness to it in the end. So next step, I'm going to get my little angle piece made for this spot here, get some of my example buttons out so I can cut my nice size holes for the HVAC controls. But so far, so good.
All right, guys, the interior of our twin turbo Continental is coming along. Dave started building out our console and our dash. I think it looks great. This thing is completely different than when it first came in here. Everything is dropped down real low, keep it real low profile. We got some really beautiful AC vents. Our dash is super clean. We're not really putting too much on there. A Holley 12.3 Pro dash looks amazing in there. Now keep in mind, this is just a structure for us to build off of. So we're gonna be doing a whole bunch of upholstery in here. So that means we're gonna be building off of our dash with some pads and stuff so that way Lee could wrap it. This whole interior is gonna be all leather when it's all said and done. So we got a good foundation to keep moving. I like it, man. I think we got everything we need. Let us know what you think, drop a comment. But please be nice when you drop comments. We're actually sensitive. So next week we got a exciting activity. We're gonna be cutting into the hood of this Continental. Let us know what you guys think. We have to cut it, so either way. But we're gonna be doing something cool. We're gonna be putting a really custom scoop. So check out the scoop. Make sure you don't miss it next week. Let us know in the comments section. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.